So thank you so much for all being here. This has been so incredible. My work fits right in. I'm so excited to present some of my ongoing dissertation work on allyship in the workplace. So as I probably don't have to tell a lot of you, after the murder of George Floyd, we saw a huge renewal of attention on allyship in the workplace, and particularly companies were trying to cultivate efforts to get their employees to actually think about things like privilege and power, and using words like privilege and power as opposed to implicit bias. And at the time that this was happening, I had previously been studying white guilt with the incredible Taylor Phillips, and we'd been studying white guilt and white privilege, and typically finding that people were very, very hesitant to admit to having it. But then 2020 happened, and we noticed a huge change, where people were really embracing this concept of privilege and power. And so we wanted to know how this was going to influence the programming that they were going to do, and how they might overcome these sort of challenges. And so, to understand this, I conducted interviews with people who were practicing allyship in organization. Compared to Barnini, I was looking at people who were doing actions, so people who were leading ally ERGs, people who were doing some sort of allyship programming, and they were not nominated. And in fact, many of them did not call themselves allies. So the first thing that I've learned, which you've seen a couple times now, is that allyship is incredibly uncomfortable. So even these people who were ally leaders were really struggling with this holding of this privilege and also this uncertainty that they had, saying things like, I'm a total newbie here, I'm figuring out at the same time I'm trying to lead this group. It feels intimidating because I'm on the journey too, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm not an expert. So this is someone who's actually leading a group with a lot of urgency and passion and still saying, I have no idea what I'm doing. And as a lot of people felt that this was going to be a big barrier, saying things like, whatever your position is, if you start to do this active piece, it lends to this discomfort. And this person is saying, I believe wholeheartedly corporate America is not interested in that. And that was the belief that we had too, that this kind of discomfort would lead to disengagement. But actually, what we found has been kind of different, that we've seen a lot of allies who also kind of embrace this discomfort. So I have participants saying things like, when asked, how do you deal with the guilt and shame that comes up with racial justice allyship, they say things like, I noticed blood on my hand, I know I'm not gonna wipe it off and that's okay. And maybe the act of guilt is trying to wipe it off as opposed to knowing it's there. And I also see people saying things like, I like that I have the guilt and shame. It's like a knife when you cut yourself and then you remember to hold on tighter. So importantly, these attitudes, this embracing of discomfort, does seem to be impacting the kinds of behaviors that allies take, in that they might be more willing to take more risks and give up more things. So I'm seeing a lot of allies say things that, if I'm really working towards equity, that means that I have to give things up that I want, give things up that I have, but also give things up that I want. And people also saying, for me, my responsibility as an ally is to be like, the house is on freaking fire, because often people say that, they won't tell that, and this person fully accepts, I need to let go of my worry of being fired because that's just what's gonna happen. So I think what's really important here is we've been talking a lot about discomfort in allyship as a bad thing, as something to avoid, but we're also seeing a lot of people try and embrace that and how this might impact the kinds of actions they take. So I think this is highlighting the importance of understanding both what people are feeling and how they're feeling, because the instinct would be that these kinds of feelings would shut them down. But I think I'm seeing a way that we can really leverage and embrace this sort of discomfort to stay committed to reducing inequality. And with that, thank you all.